Hello, horror heads, and welcome to the show. We continue our October movies with the second entry for our Halloween season. We hope you'll enjoy it, and we're going to get to it in just a moment. First, I have something special to tell you about. In about 2 weeks, we are going to be joined by a couple of friends for a bonus Halloween episode where we are going to be talking about our favorite Halloween movies, TV specials, whatever our favorite Halloween traditions are, but we also want to hear from you. What are your favorite things to do to celebrate the season? Let us know and we will read them out on the show. Stay until the end of this episode and we're going to tell you how you can contact us, and just let us know whether it's something very casual, something much more exciting, something a little weird, whatever it is, we want to know about it. Give us some material to work with, will ya? Now that that's all out of the way, let's begin. My name is Sheldon, and this is The Graveyard Shift, horror with Sheldon and Mike. Anyone hear thunder? I think it's gonna rain. I better go get my umbrella. Welcome to episode 19 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, Halloween That's Not Halloween Part 2, where we watch a horror movie that takes place on October 31st, but has nothing to do with the Halloween/Michael Myers series. We'll talk about the plot of the movie, some production details, what we liked, what we didn't like, and if it's anything like last week's episode, you know that's much more fun. And we'll talk about anything else we think is worth mentioning. And yes, I said we because trick-or-treating is better with a friend. Please say hello to the guy that's no trick and all treat, my co-host, Mike.
Boo, everybody.
How are you doing, Mike, since last we spoke?
Pretty good. Things are looking up.
So, I asked you last time when our last episode, you're feeling the Halloween spirit, so has anything changed since then?
No, I'm still feeling creepy and kooky, mysterious and spooky.
Awesome. So, I gotta say, I gotta tell you about my Halloween costume from last year. Now, I think you saw some pictures of it. You know that me and my wife, we actually did some pretty awesome Ghostbusters costumes last year for Halloween. We spent a lot of time making the costumes because we got the flight suits and we made our name patches and the no ghost patches. We got them ordered and sewed them on ourselves. That was all the easy stuff. We made some props like a ghost trap and some ecto goggles. It took a little bit of time, it was okay, but the majority of the time went into making the proton packs. Like, we did a really good job with the proton packs. They lit up all over the place. Took a long time to put them together. A lot of trial and error trying to find things that worked, that we could replicate the parts of the packs with. And just yesterday, I'm at Spirit of Halloween. And what is the big news with Spirit of Halloween this year is that they have officially licensed Ghostbuster products, including a foam rubber light up and sound included officially licensed proton packs for $80, I think it is.
Wow.
And all I could think about was all the work that we put into these proton packs last year. That's us, always a year too late. But anyway, enough about that. I just want to bring that up because one of my favorite things in Halloween is always as soon as Spirit of Halloween's open. Like, I cannot wait to go to that store. It is just the absolute best. But anyway, we watched another movie for this week, and very similarly named to last week's movie. And so, Mike, why don't you tell everyone what we got for them this time?
Today's movie is Trick or Treat from 1986.
Yeah, Trick or Treat, not Trick or Treat, so let's get that cleared up first of all. But I gotta say, I actually enjoyed this movie.
Me too.
Yeah, like it wasn't bad. I did see it before a long time ago. Of course, like most of the movies we end up watching on this for the show, is that ones that I've seen in my youth and had to give it a rewatch. But this one was pretty enjoyable. Here's a few facts about Trick or Treat. Also known as Death at 33 RPM and Ragman in foreign markets, Trick or Treat is an American supernatural horror film from De Laurentiis Entertainment Group. I got a weird space in my notes for some reason, which has also produced Manhunter, the prequel to Silence of the Lambs, Near Dark. If you haven't seen that, see it because it is an awesome vampire flick. King Kong Lives, don't see it. And Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And also, I believe they had their hands in Evil Dead 2. I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, you didn't want to forget that.
Yeah, and they did all this between 1986 and 1988 when they unfortunately went bankrupt for some reason.
So I think Rampage and Cobra Verde had something to do with
it. Yeah, maybe.
Or Dracula's Widow.
Yeah, that could have been.
Hey, they did Earth Girls Are Easy and Pumpkinhead. Wow. Real hits and misses with this.
Yeah, really.
With this group.
It's too bad, though, because their hits are ones that I really liked, actually.
Blue Velvet. I mean, like, people talk about that movie, right?
Yeah. It had a budget of about $7 million, and guess what its box office return was?
More?
Nope. About $7 million.
Oh. Broke even?
Yeah. It has a 71% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 62% audience score, which, all in all, we'll get to it later, but I think that may be a fair assessment. And if you're wondering about the plot, after his biggest fan plays his unreleased album backwards, devil-worshipping rock star Sammy Kerr, who died under mysterious circumstances, gets resurrected as a demonic version of himself. Now, the death and destruction Sammy is causing must be stopped. So, yeah, we mentioned before we got into the facts that I couldn't really remember going into watching this movie again if I enjoyed it or not. I did remember certain scenes that I could not wait for Mike to see. Which there was a few text messages back and forth about that. But I couldn't remember if I really enjoyed it or not. Like, I did remember liking it, but you know how a lot of movies sometimes you see them when you're younger, and when you finally see them years later, they don't have the same effect on you. But I did remember this one enjoying it, and I wasn't disappointed when I watched it. It had some things that made me, kind of bat an eyebrow or screw my face up a few times, but overall I thought it was pretty decent.
Yeah, me too.
So, since we both are probably going to be on the like train with this, how about we dive straight in? Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll start with my very first like, that this Mark Price fellow looks exactly like Ramsay Bolton as a metalhead.
I think that was the first text you sent me when you started watching this one.
It's true. Oh, fuck. He just looked just like Ramsay Bolton with a mullet. And it's just like, oh, hey, Leslie, do you want to, go starve some dogs and feed my stepbrother to them? No? Oh, okay, well, I wasn't going to rape you in your parents' bedroom anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Later, maybe.
That immediately sets up the premise that this kid might have some problems. He's at least the most socially awkward person ever, because who the hell says that?
Well, I was just paraphrasing what Ramsay Bolton did in Game of Thrones. It's not like he was actually
No, I know. Like you're putting in your Ramsay Bolton references there, but it really does, other than the Ramsay Bolton look, it really does set it up that this guy has no social skills whatsoever.
And he's hanging out with a kid who has even less.
Yeah. But, I actually liked his character. He did a pretty decent job in this.
Well, he was sympathetic. instead of just pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always a good start with a character. When you have a character that people can actually feel a little bit sorry for and not feel like, well, he brings it on himself for being a fucking idiot. So, like, he had some good qualities to him. He was a likable character.
Yeah. So, the first thing I got on my list is that right away is that what I loved is the 80s hair metal. I didn't really get it in the 80s, mostly because I was a little too young at the time, so it was already on its way out by the time I was old enough to have an appreciation for it. But I do have an appreciation for it now, and this movie is ripe with it.
Oh, boy, is it ever.
And some good ones, too. Like, I love... One of my favorite scenes was when his mom is in his room and starts going through his albums. And just remembering seeing, like, all these classic albums. Like, one of the first CDs that I bought, actually, was an 80s album. Was the same Megadeth album that you see his mom pick up when she's going through his albums in his room.
Oh, like, this kid has got a fantastic array of posters. Even in the very beginning of this movie, like I forewent the usual opening credits thing because, like, the credits themselves at the beginning were too lackluster to mention. But when it opens up to his room, as it's doing, like, beautiful pans and fades across his room, you see an array of posters, like Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, and next to him was gothic font for a band called Sphincter.
Yeah.
I mean, I sent it to you because I'm not making this shit up. It was in gothic font, Sphincter, and it was right next to Dee Snider. So I'm like, is this like Twisted Sphincter?
Oh, that sounds like a really bad medical problem. Well, one of the things that immediately reminded me of this was that this movie came out during the heavy metal Satanic Panic in the 80s when people were losing their freaking minds. They considered everything satanic. Judas Priest were on trial because they got blamed for some kid's suicide. Uptight parents were listening to metal records backwards, trying to find hidden messages. People went insane during this time. People even claimed they found hidden satanic messages in the Mr. Ed theme song.
Sending, well, yeah, well, your animals are talking to you. That's some Son of Sam. That's some Son of Sam shit right there. But yeah, and then, like, setting fire to like just losing their fucking minds if they see, like, someone with a Dungeons and Dragons board in their basement.
Oh,
like,
man,
the Moral Crusaders. This was written. It could have been written by Moral Crusaders, except it had too much personality, style, and satire in it, and those people lack all those qualities.
Yeah. Oh, it was mind-boggling, man. People are idiots. And besides, if Satan is real and he wanted to put some kind of message, like get as many people, get his message to as many people as possible, he wasn't going to put it into metal records, any type of heavy metal song. He's going to put it into, like, I don't know, what the hell were kids listening to in the 80s? Like,
the Carpenters?
New Kids on the Block or Debbie Gibson albums or something like that?
I think I'm alone now. And by the way, you should kill dogs and have sex.
That's where you get all the followers, not by, like, some, like, grungy kids listening to Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or anything.
Yeah. Like, that's the biggest thing that shows, like, all Moral Crusaders lack any sort of logical... they lack the critical thinking aspect of a brain, because if someone does want to create propaganda, they would go for the most widespread medium for maximum effectiveness.
Of course. Okay, so yeah, I just had to bring that up because I do remember I was old enough, like, seeing on TV, like, the whole Satanic Panic thing, and yeah, people just went apeshit and it was ridiculous. But anyway, what do you have next on your list?
Oh, when Ramsey Metalhead is invited to the pool party, 15 minutes and 20 seconds in, tats. Like, this girl, for some reason, like, somehow, despite, like, no, like, she's just got her top off, diving around in the pool, like, somehow super liberated. It's like, yeah, they're just my boobs. I'm going swimming. Woo! And then 40 minutes in, we got more boobs, but I'm not gonna go into details about that because that's related to something else.
Yeah, we'll talk. We're gonna be going back to that one later. So next for me, and of course, there's no surprise, I loved all the practical effects in this movie. They were very nicely done. Very little blood and gore, but still, the effects were great. This movie didn't really need a lot of blood or gore to be effective.
No, it had like burnt tissue.
Yeah.
Because like the guy died in a fire. So half of him is burnt up. And it makes sense that he's not completely burnt, because if he did suffocate on smoke, he would have fallen on the floor, and half of him would have been saved by the fire because it's pressed into the floor. Mm-hmm. So only half of him gets burnt. And they did that. I mean, this movie sticks to its rules and follows logic in as much as it can, given the premise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was no complaints there. And of course, this movie had its share of the blue 80s lightning that we see in so many movies, this animated blue electrical
hand-drawn lightning.
Yeah. So I always love a movie with that. I always call it the blue 80s lightning. But yeah, it was great.
Prominent, and it's the same DeLorean crackle.
Exactly. And the effects, of course, were done by Kevin Yager, who also did some of the effects for some of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and most notably, his longest run in the special effects world was with the Tales from the Crypt show. Okay, Mike, so what do you got next on your list?
Oh, I've got something I think you have on your list, but you gave the stick to me, so I'm going to say it. When this kid first encounters the powers of the record, mm-hmm. He's got a message telling him to be the bait. And what does he do at school? He baits the bullies into chasing him through the school. And this led to some Home Alone level style planning. He's like walking through the hall, leaving some buckets and locker doors and tables around. And then he lures them on a steeplechase through the school.
So good.
After... He instigates it by walking up to the bully, getting in close, telling him like he's about to tell him off, and then he slams the food into the guy's face, and then runs across the table, stepping on everyone's food just to make sure everyone chases him. And boy, does he lead! This is like if Home Alone took a more active outdoor approach. He leads.
Oh my god!
Oh, he leads these kids through a devastating. Some guys are moving tables, and like it knocks a few kids down, but then other kids like do the TJ Hooker butt slide across the table, and then he runs them up some stairs, spills over a janitor's bucket, leading to the fucking best thing, where this guy, you think the bullies are gonna slip around and like pile up like 4 or 5, like it's gonna be like NASCAR. But no, they thought, no, let's subvert expectations. And one guy decides to jump over the puddle, but the guy turns the corner, and because he's in the air, he can't corner. So he ends up sliding through the stair doors, and he slides on his ass over the stairs, not down the stairs. His ass never touches the stairs. He slides up, I would imagine, into the wall above the stairs, leading to a dead drop of about, I'd say, 10 feet. Dude. So that's 2 collisions.
That guy is dead. There's no way this guy's alive. And I'm not talking about the character in the movie. The actor that played this guy, this actor, this stuntman, whatever. I hope it was a stuntman. I hope they had a professional stuntman and just wasn't some stupid kid that they paid like $50 to do this.
Yeah, slide down some stairs. I can do that. No, I'm gonna touch these stairs at some point, right? Right?
Because when he was setting it up, like we saw him. The first thing we see him do is move this janitor's bucket into position, and so of course, like it's in every second teen '80s movie where someone gets chased by bullies, and a mop bucket gets knocked over, and people like hit the water and fall down, but. So I figured, this is what's going to happen here as well. But no, man, this guy didn't fall down. He got launched, and I mean launched down a flight of stairs.
A fatal slip and slide. Like, this character absolutely is fucking dead. He clears all the stairs like Clark Griswold's sled. he is, like you just said, he does not fall down the stairs. He is launched over the stairs.
Oh my god, it was insane. I loved it. I watched that part so many times.
I was just expecting to see, like, a bunch of bricks knocked out in the silhouette of his legs spread eagle up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
I was expecting the cartoon hole in the wall shaped like him.
It was the best. It was so insane. I love that scene. It just comes out of nowhere. Like, you see him hit the water and fall down, and then all of a sudden he's just like doing like warp speed down these stairs.
Ludicrous speed!
Oh, it was awesome. Brilliant. I'm so glad you had that on your list.
Okay, you're next.
Well, I got one that's it's weird because this like that I have on my list is like the second part of a dislike that I have. So I know it's weird, but it'll make sense in a little bit.
I've had a few of those.
The Dance Massacre. I thought once this Sammy Kerr was on the stage at the dance, and when he finally, like, you know, amped up and started, like, blasting the students with the friggin' lightning bolts from his guitar. Oh, this is going to sound so sadistic, but I was laughing my ass off because he's dancing around on stage and starts ripping off these blue 80s lightning effects at people, and as soon as they get touched by one of these bolts, they just turn into dust. You just crumble. And people are losing their minds. They're going apeshit because this guy is on stage. They're not even noticing that he's killing people.
Because he's rocking that good.
But when they finally do, panic just ensues. But he's just still just blasting away at people, and it is just amazing. I love that scene.
Oh, it was a great use of his power, and it shows that, like, he doesn't fucking care if you're a fan or not. Like, whatever his reasoning was, like, we don't know if he was always this sadistic, or if he was, like, possessed by a demon, or if a demon has only taken his form when he comes back, but he does not care if you like his music or don't. He will fucking vaporize you anyway. this guy has no allegiance.
Nope, he's just going nuts. He's just killing people left and right. He's basically towards the end of that scene. He's just firing into a crowd. Okay, what do you got next?
I liked when Eddie started showing conscience when the record was telling him to, like, all right, now you fucked with him. Now you gotta kill him, Eddie. And he's like, no, you put someone in a hospital. That's, like, not cool. And so then we get to see him try to fight the record. Mm-hmm. And the record's just like, oh, you ain't gonna fuck with me, Eddie. I'm gonna fuck with you. And he ends up rattling the entire staircase and summoning himself into the world. And it turns out the key to dissolving the veil between our world and the afterlife is Pepsi.
Yep. Tell you, that stuff's got 1,000 uses.
It'll clean your car, it'll shine your pennies, and it will reveal the spirits that are possessed inside your record, which, again, how could his spirit possess the record if he died after he recorded it?
I don't know. There's a whole thing there. I think we're missing some backstory there. I think it might have, maybe we're missing something that got explained, but yeah. It's weird because we actually do see him when the kid is listening to the record and he's dreaming about Sammy. Don't we see him, like, performing, like, it looks like he might have been doing some kind of ritual while he's on fire? Like, or we see, like,
he's in a fire.
We see the final parts of some kind of ritual because he's got, like, a circle of fire around him, doesn't he?
Yeah, like he's
got a pentagram, right?
Yeah, he's in a pentagram. And there's fire around him, but the pentagram itself isn't on fire. But he's, like, twitching and moaning, and, like, people around him are, like, writhing. So it's like he's in hell. Because, you know, where else would he be? He plays the metal.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
But somehow, like, he's using the record as a conduit. So I guess you can just do that through sheer force of will rather than, like, no, he, like, had a witch doctor bless the album, or I don't know. It was just like, it was a bit ham-fisted, but it did let you know there are dark forces contained in the record. That's all you need to know. So, no, he's not hallucinating, or maybe he is, but then it turns out, no, he is not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that works for me. All right.
And what else did you like?
Kind of. I guess I like this. I put it on my list anyway, and then I'm like, I had it on my list and then crossed it out once and then put it back on my list again. Because I did like Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne in this.
Oh, they were both fantastic. It would have been so hard to recognize Gene Simmons out of makeup.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
But Ozzy Osbourne, I mean, like, if he didn't talk, that was the only giveaway.
Yeah. And Ozzy Osbourne really, like, I mean, his voice gave it away automatically. Like, I mean, you knew it was him. He's just basically talking like Ozzy, but just saying the exact opposite of what Ozzy would say. Gene Simmons was actually, he doesn't really have that great acting chops, but at least he was actually playing a character. He had some exchanges there, and he based his character on his favorite DJ when he was growing up, which was Wolfman Jack.
Oh, yeah, we definitely saw that influence.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed seeing that, especially seeing Ozzy, 1980s Ozzy. I really like that. He looked young and fresh, and he actually had some meat on his bones. Didn't look like a drug-addled maniac. So, yeah, so that was pretty cool. All right, so anything else for your likes list?
When Eddie versus his own car.
Oh.
That was a fantastic scene. He has decided, I'm done with this. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting away from the house. And then he gets into his car, which then starts playing the metal music and letting you know that wherever there is metal, I am there.
Yeah.
And the car ends up tearing him through different parts of town, driving across exploding barrels, which was a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it only stops when it tries to drive him off at the dock, but he cuts the power to it, so it only slows and partially falls over, but not totally into the drink.
Yeah.
And then he just leaves it there.
Yep, that's right. That was pretty cool.
There was so many other things, when the guy's rocking, just before Sammy makes his debut at the rock show, the guy's trying to tune up the speakers. The original artist.
Yeah.
The original performers
the
at the high
lead
school.
singer and guitarist of the band, right? The high school band.
Yeah. And as he's tuning with the speakers, Sammy's hand comes through the speakers. And I just saw the label for the speakers, which were Schmel. And I'm like, Schmel speakers. When you want sound that will reach out and grab you. And you can't spell Schmel without hell.
Cool. Yeah, that was I like that, where he just busts out the speaker and first of all just disintegrates, just explodes the lead singer and takes his place.
And the best part is, people are not freaking the fuck out at this point.
Yeah, at that point they thought it was just a special effect. Which little bit of trivia there, the guy that played the lead singer, the one that got exploded, was actually the special effects guy.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. I discovered that somewhere along my note taking. I discovered that a little bit. So I've only got one more thing for my likes list, and that is Alice Nunn as Mrs. Sylvia Cavell, the old lady that was in charge of the committee against metal music or something, whatever. I can't remember what they called it, but
oh yeah, the old angry granny.
Yes, because she played a character in another movie that probably scared me more than any other character in any horror movie ever. And the movie she was in wasn't even a horror movie, but it was still scary as shit. It was Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and she played Large Marge.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't pick up on that the first time I saw this movie when I was a kid, because I may have seen this movie before I saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But I guarantee you, as soon as I saw her this time, I'm like, holy shit, it's Large Marge. God damn, because that was one of the scariest things I ever saw in my whole freaking life. I still think today that is one of the scariest scenes ever committed to film.
Great, now I gotta go see the Pee-wee movie.
Oh, if you haven't, dude, you gotta see it, because, man, this thing will blow your fucking mind. There's a few scenes in it that's, like, actually pretty scary, and, like, think about it from a kid's perspective. Like, now it's scary, but think about, like, if you were, like, 7, 8 years old when you watched this thing, and, yeah, it's got this freaking automated clown statue at one point, which was the same clown, that you see in Night of the Comet. It's got some scene I think I remember seeing involving, like, Pee-wee being at the dentist's office that was scary as shit.
Is it safe? I don't think so.
Or a doctor's office. Maybe it was dentist, doctor. But yeah, nothing beat the Large Marge scene. When you see that, as soon as you go watch this movie, like, as soon as you can, and as soon as you get to the Large Marge scene, as soon as you see that, tell me.
Are you suggesting Pee-wee's Playhouse as a movie for this podcast?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, like his first movie. Yeah, I think we should. I think it counts.
All right, we can use that as a transition between now and Christmas.
All right.
As we soften up a bit.
Sounds good. Okay, so all right. So do you have anything else for your likes list?
Yeah, I like the tase kill by the cop. It's like, don't tase him, bro. Seriously, don't.
Yep.
And the guy's like, I'm gonna fill you full of jolts. And then he shoots the guy, and you're looking at a guy who, 1, is made of electricity, and 2, is tattooed so he doesn't fear needles. So this taser is like the worst tool you could have used against him. Mm-hmm. But he grabs the wires and just feeds his own electricity into the gun, vaporizing the cop. And like, everything about this guy is awesome. Even when Eddie is taunting him at the end into the radio, he's like, hey, because when he goes to kill Eddie in his house, he throws a hamper at him when he corners him in the bathroom, and the guy falls, and his hand falls into the toilet, and he's just like, blah, 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 blah. And then the lady flushes the handle, and it's like, he kind of like gets sucked in, but not all the way, like just like his arm gets sucked in. And I'm like, no, like, toilets don't have that much suction unless you're maybe if you're in an airplane.
Hey, are you made of electricity? You don't know, okay?
That toilet water will fuck you up once it starts moving. And, it was bubbling and shit. And then Eddie taunts him at the end going, hey, you feeling okay? After that toilet scene, you looked a little flushed.
Waka waka.
So, yeah, this was so full of likes, but I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah, that was it for me as well. So, okay, so that's what we liked about it. Now, let's see if we have as much fun with this one as we did with last week's episode. Tell me something you didn't like about it.
The Eddie spares the bully's life from being impaled by the what the hell is that tool that with that press with the spike on it?
A press spike.
Okay.
I don't know what it's called.
So he saves him from the press spike.
I did home ec, not metal shop, okay?
So it's obvious, like, Eddie's working his influence, but he hasn't manifested fully at this point. He can only move, like, objects that require electricity, I guess. So the bully gets his tie caught in this wheel that pulls him down, and then this Fulci press decides to spike him in the eye. And then Eddie shuts down the power. And you think after that he'd be like, okay, man, we gotta fucking, like, not kill each other. You saved me. You're a cool dude. I was an asshole. Let's be done. But no, he's like, it's not over yet, Weinbauer. It's like, yes, it bloody well is. He spared your life. He could have just walked away, let you die, and then it really would have been over.
Yeah, it would have been over. It would have been over between them two, but then, he's going to go to jail for killing someone. So
He never touched anybody. If there were cameras in that school, it just would have shown the bully fall into the trap.
that's true. But he did hesitate until the last second as well, you know.
I know, you should. That should have been like, I chose to save you, fucker. Don't make me regret it. No, he's like, this isn't over yet. It's like, get the fuck out. Like, this was your chance to bury the hatchet and survive this.
All right, Mike wants to kill his bullies. Okay.
I believe I made my statement on that clear earlier.
Yeah, that's you have not held back about your statement on bullies. So
I'm not saying you should go out and kill your bullies, but if your bullies are going to die, you know, maybe you should like see if they're actually going to change or learn their lesson. And if they end up swearing at you or telling you to fuck off, then you can be like, all right, I will.
all right. Okay, so I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this one, but for my first dislike, I did not like the villain, Sammy Kerr. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this guy was supposed to be like, you know, the epiphany of a metalhead, and this guy was not.
Yeah, he was not consistent or he had no clarity of purpose.
No, first of all, he was like melodramatic as fuck, and Mike, the scene where going back to the high school dance, you know, I said for one of my likes was the dance massacre. I thought it was a great scene, but let's talk about the scene leading up to that. Okay, I was enjoying it when he comes out of the amplifier and kills the lead singer and takes his place. First of all, I thought that was fine. That was actually pretty cool. When they actually start playing music, this is where this guy loses all his metal cred for me. He was kind of like wavering anyway, but he loses it because, first of all, he's not playing his guitar. He's just holding it. That's it. And what is he doing? He's dancing around the stage like a fucking ballerina. Like, he is pirouetting around the stage, back and forth.
You, sir, are no Freddie Mercury. You have not earned it.
He's spinning around like a spin top, and I'm like, okay, first of all, if anyone's listening that's a professional dancer, I'm not insulting your craft, okay? That's fine. It takes a lot of skill. There's a lot of practice involved. You are hardcore, but this guy is not metal. He's a dancer. And I looked it up. The actor that played Sammy Kerr was actually a professional dancer, not an actor. He was a solid gold dancer. And so, yeah, and then, like, he makes up for it when he decides to start, like, you know, exploding everybody. But that gets a little more hardcore, but up until then, I'm like, yeah, you're a pretty weak villain, actually. Like, you know, they made him pretty powerful. He's some kind of demonic force, but I don't know if it was the actor or just the way it was just bad writing on the part of the for the character, but yeah, they could have gotten someone much more hardcore. When I looked into it, the lead singer of Wasp was originally supposed to play the part, which would have been better, I think. Gene Simmons was originally offered the lead role to play Sammy Kerr. I'm not sure how well that would have turned out, but
at least the guitar playing would have been real.
Yeah, at least Gene Simmons at least at the time, you know, not so much now because now he looks just like a sad old man, but at the time he may have looked a little imposing because he is a big guy. You know, so. But yeah, I don't know, like, Gene Simmons...
Oh, you know who would have made a good demon or a good metal demon?
Glenn Danzig.
James Hetfield.
Would have... I don't know, 1986...
He's big. He's like a Ron Perlman motherfucker.
Is he? Yeah, I always thought, like, especially, like...
No, Lars Ulrich is, like, the little guy.
Yeah, maybe. That's true. I thought that Glenn Danzig would have been great in this role.
Maybe.
I have no idea how old Glenn Danzig is. He might have been... No, he's old as shit. He would have been, like, the perfect age at the time. No, because Glenn Danzig is a big motherfucker, man. But, yeah, like, I just couldn't buy this guy as a metal god, you know?
And also, his character is too inconsistent. Like, when we see footage of him, like when he's like appearing before Congress and all that, he's calling out politicians on their hypocrisy. He's taking like a moral stand,
Yeah.
trying to show like, yeah, it's all theatrics and all that, and you're scared of theatrics because it invites people to accept things that are beyond your capability. Like, there's like a good message in what this guy's done throughout what appears to be most of his life, except for like a little, animal biting. Like he bites a snake in half and bathes in its blood. That's a little severe.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you think he's like trying to be like a representative of metal. Like it's got a passive force, that he would have like a problem with its haters and persecutors, or that he would be like good friends with his fan. But right off the bat, he's like hostile towards him. He doesn't want to make friends with him. He's got no redeeming qualities. Like a good villain isn't completely evil. Like they think they're the good guy.
Yeah, but you're right. When he comes back, when he gets resurrected, there's no doubt. Like he's all about death and destruction.
Yeah, it's just we don't know if this is what he was like in real life, or if this is what, like, if a demon came back with his face.
Yes.
There's no explanation for this sudden change in behavior, because he seemed to have purpose in what he did before, but now he's just completely unabashedly evil.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so
not a strong villain.
What do you got for your dislikes?
When he turns on the stereo and the mom freaks the fuck out. And I see, like, mom is trying to turn off the amps like the dumbass in an infomercial. Like, has this ever happened to you? And I have to wonder, like, the way she's like, while slapping the stereo. I have to ask, was this role originally written for Shelley Duvall?
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Because, yeah, nothing like, just... First of all, like, yeah, I understand you got startled and the music is loud, but chill the fuck out and look for a power switch. If you can't find anything, just unplug the damn thing.
Yeah, try common sense.
But no, you nailed it with your infomercial remark, because, like, we all know how big of geniuses the people in those things are.
Hey, she's, like, slapping parts of it that aren't even buttons.
Yeah, she's like...
And then pecking at it like she's trying to fist it.
Like she's never seen an electrical appliance before. That's how she reacted.
What? Magic box sound bad. Urgh.
Yep.
Like she's got to go back to her cave and unwind. What about you?
I don't know whether to put this on a likes list or a dislikes list, but the bullies in this movie, man, they were the worst. Like, first of all, let's set this up. This is a definite dislike. Is that, was this one kid the only metalhead in the entire school?
Yeah, I mean, like, metal was like a badass thing. Like I remember going to school, like, people had shit like this around. You didn't have to be a metalhead, but at least if you were a casual metalhead, you listen to the music.
Come on, 1986, dude. Like in North America, 1986, metal, like hair metal, was at its peak in these areas, and they got a school with like thousands of students, and there's only one kid that's into metal. Come on, even his best friend is like the only friend that he actually has, like, doesn't give a shit about his metal. He even makes comments about how, like, it's all the same. And yeah, so I found that really odd. It's like, I don't think the people that made this movie understand, like, just how big metal was at the time.
And the bullies are just, like, so annoyed with him. Like, what the fuck are you listening to? Why can't you listen to normal music? Like, what is normal music to you? The Carpenters?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, you look like you're at school dressed like you're heading out to a dinner party. So let's chill the fuck out, first of all.
Every time, like, when they attack him in the metal shop, they look like they're showing up for a job interview.
Yeah. Okay, you almost died in the metal shop because your tie got stuck in a piece of equipment. Okay, let's think about that, first of all. You're in high school, and you're wearing a tie. Look, that might be the first place that you fucked up. And from what I remember, like I said, I was really young at the time, so I mean, I have very vague memories of this. But from what I do remember, like seeing teenagers that were metalheads, man, they were guys that nobody was going to be messing with. Because they look like they could go psycho on you all the time. And I know I'm stereotyping really hard here, but that's the image that they put out, you know?
Yeah, they look like they have a knife collection and not safely locked away.
Yeah.
I mean, like, prominently on display and easily accessible on their... I mean, like, you look at the tattoos they've got. Like, you don't fuck with a metalhead because, one, they've got blades. They definitely got blades. And two, they are well accustomed to pain.
The metal kids were the badasses in 1986. Like, you didn't mess around with those guys. And, yeah, like, I just thought that whole thing was very, very, a very odd decision to go with.
He was a little weak for a metalhead. Like, I mean, he had, like, the cuffs and the bracelets and all that, but you'd think he'd have some of the piercings. Or were the punks more the piercings?
Yeah, I don't think piercings were like a huge thing for metalheads like at the time, but and I mean like these bullies were big guys too. Don't get me wrong, but like I just thought that was a very odd thing to see. Like 1986 school in the U.S. high school, and there's one kid that's into metal.
Another thing about the bullies, like they're so interchangeable. Like I think Did only one of them actually get a name?
I think so. I don't remember anything about the bullies. I don't think the guy that like went on the magic carpet ride down the stairs ever came back. I think that was the one and only time we ever saw him.
And nobody even doubled back to look if he was okay. Like these guys are just
because
psychopaths.
They didn't have him in the rest of the movie because, like I said, I'm sure the actor died in that stunt.
You think they would have had like a eulogy for one of the bullies?
Oh, I'm sure there's a plaque on that wall. You could find that school that this was shot. There's a plaque on this wall now commemorating this guy that died in that stairwell.
Cause of death: ignored wet floor sign.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been like a good scene just to pad out the bully's character, where you see them in like black suits and ties, standing over a grave, throwing a rose on the coffin. I'm gonna kill that fucking metalhead for you, Pat.
Okay, what else you got?
Well, besides better ideas for this movie.
We got a few of those, but...
speaking of infomercials, we've got Eddie's friend Roger, who has probably never vacuumed in his life because... Oh, I think there was... when... Sammy shows up, we'll just quickly gloss over this for now so we can talk over it later. He pulls an old lady through the TV, and she doesn't, as you put it best, she doesn't travel well.
Yeah.
So she's a charred torso, like a cocoon.
She turns
like
into a lump of charcoal.
She does. And then he drops her on the floor and she fragments. He tells Roger, like, this is a song, like, you don't fuck with me, you play my cassette at the prom, blah, 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 and then he fades away, back to Electric Demon Land. And then Roger does this fucking terrible job of vacuuming. We see him, like, vacuuming, and the vacuum cleaner, he must have, like, not fastened anything, because it is just pumping out dust. Like Billy Cole's smoke machine.
He's just blowing, like, these old lady particles all over the place.
And the chunks are on the floor, and he's, like, stabbing the chunks with the vacuum to, like, break them up. And I'm like, dude, for shit like that, you get a fucking pan. You scoop up that shit, dump it in a garbage bag, and then you vacuum up the particles at the end. The vacuum is a final job after you get the big chunks out. And he's like, no, I'm going to, like, break it up with the vacuum by, like, slamming it into the old lady particles. Like, fuck. I mean, like, didn't you ever watch your mom vacuum? And two, if your vacuum is spitting out dust like that, you're not vacuuming anything. You're just dispersing the dust. Check the fucking bag.
Yeah. So Roger was the best friend, right? That's him?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't like him, man. He is such a sniveling little character.
I know, he's like a 13-year-old Eugene Levy.
Wow, yeah. You nailed it, dude. Yeah, I didn't like him, but that I did. I love that scene though. That was one of my favorite scenes in this movie. But it was a great one.
Roger had his moments when he was when he does the heroic save at the end, and when he's looking at the girl hanging up a banner on the ladder. He, the way I put it was he had no fucking chill. He was like as close as he could possibly be without, slamming his nose into her ass crack while checking her out.
Yeah.
Like he has no doesn't fucking care. People are walking by. He's got no subtlety. He is just like burning the image of that ass into his memory.
Yep. Okay. Well, I don't know how much more do you have on your list for your dislikes?
Just one more.
One more, go for it, dude.
Okay. Well, after the massacre at the show, Eddie comes to talk to Leslie, find Roger, tell him what to do. Like he's trying to prepare for the epic showdown. And as soon as he does, he leaves with Leslie, and immediately the cops are just like, "Hey, you! We want to talk to you! Don't run from us while we're yelling at you! We are awful cops!" It's like, why the fuck is he running from the cops? All he has to do is simply say, "I showed up here after all this carnage began, so you can take me off your fucking list right now." But no, I think one of the surviving bullies, the last surviving bully, he's like, "Hey, it's that fucking Weinbauer kid. He's behind it, even though he wasn't here, and we all saw, and nobody saw him here, and he just showed up. It's him." Like he could have just knocked that out in 5 seconds with the cops going, "Yeah, I just got here."
Yeah, no, that's true.
And then when he runs away from the cops, he runs into an alley. And what does he do to make sure they don't notice him? Kick cans, fire escapes, gutter pipes, shit like that. Just make a shit ton of noise and throw a yelling tantrum. That's the best way to make sure when the cops run by, they don't look into the alley.
Yeah, way to be subtle.
So yeah, that was a big fucking dislike for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, so that, so overall, we did like this movie. We had more to talk about in our likes list and our dislikes. The biggest thing for me was the villain. I think that could have been done much better, but not a big deal. But anyway, well, I do believe we have a couple entries for a certain segment that we like to call What the Fuck. These are things that, well, the name says it all. We were watching this movie and certain things happened that just blew our freaking minds. We could not comprehend what was going on the screen. So, there is one scene in particular, Mike, and I know I'm going for this one right away.
By all means.
It starts off pretty good. You were actually enjoying the scene pretty good at the start, right? It's when the bully's girlfriend starts listening to the recording, the Walkman with the.
Well, we'll preface this for the audience. They're making out in the car. He's got a leak, so he bolts. Says I gotta go, and rather than watch him take a leak, she decides to chill out with whatever music he might have on hand.
Yes, and he has the stolen Walkman, right?
I don't know if did he steal the Walkman? I know that he gave him the tape, but I thought he left.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. So anyway, she starts listening to this, and of course, this is she's listening to the possessed music of Sammy Kerr, and it starts having a certain effect on her, a little bit of an aphrodisiac effect, I believe. Starting to get
green smoke comes out of the earbuds and descends down her neck and starts playing with her boobs.
Yeah. Let's just say like this, she's listening to this possessed music, and it's getting her motor running. And she's really into it. Mike gets to see like some of that nice gratuitous 80s boob shots.
Well, the smoke pulls her shirt open, and she's got no problem with this. And then it starts to pull the shirt right off. Mm-hmm. and just wrapping around her torso, slowly descending, and then it turns into the shape of like a cupped hand as it descends to her panties.
Yeah. So she's really getting into it, and it certainly seems to be doing the job. But suddenly she, kind of snaps out of it that this is something weird is going on. She opens her eyes, she looks down, and what does she see?
I can only describe it as a combination of a gremlin and a demogorgon.
Yeah. And this thing is down below, just going to town.
And I just wonder, why do you need to create a long-tongued monster when you already have Gene Simmons on set?
That was in the actress's closet. She couldn't be in the same scene as Gene Simmons. But yeah, just out of nowhere, there's this demon on the car seat and just doing his thing with a...
We don't get to see him in the car. He's too big to be in the car. She's in the front seat.
Yeah.
He's not like tucked under the glove compartment or anything. Like when we see him, it's like she's in a, like a graveyard or just like a large open space, like a warehouse. Like he's like accommodating way too much space to be in that car with her.
It was a weird scene. It was weird. Like it came out of nowhere. Like it doesn't correspond with anything else that happens in this movie.
There's been no precedent for it, and it doesn't get regarded later. It's like I think it was in her head.
It was a scene, just they decided to throw in there just so that they could have this actress topless.
Yeah, kind of like like a less gratuitous version of the zombie Nazi scene in American Werewolf in London. It's like, let's just throw in a dream sequence for shock value with no real purpose.
And yeah, so we're not even sure if anything else, if this is just, the magic, the possessed music, whatever is causing like an hallucination. But because when the boyfriend comes back after she screams, there's no sign of this demon or anything. And is she fully dressed again at this point?
No, she's naked.
She's still naked, okay. I didn't remember that. But
the headphones have had an effect.
Oh, yeah.
So...
If this whole thing was just an hallucination, well,
yeah,
it certainly did have a real effect because he pulls the headphones off of her, and basically her ears, which are now reduced to a pile of goo, comes with them.
Yep, just like trying to pull a topping off of a really gooey pizza.
Yeah, imagine that.
Except the toppings are now her ears.
Yep, which was pretty certain, it's safe to say, that was the goriest scene in this entire movie. So it goes from the most gratuitous, the most sexualized, and then the goriest. So yeah, there's no other thing to call this but what the fuck. And like I said, it never occurs again. Like, nothing like this happens again in the movie. This demon is not seen again. We have no idea what the hell was going on with this. It's just never called back to. It's done.
Yeah, you know what Ghostbusters did when they had, like, some weird, grotesque demon dog? They used it! It attacked Rick Moranis. It possessed Rick Moranis. And then it went after Sigourney Weaver, and they did some weird doggy kiss thing, and then the dogs show up again. And the Ghostbusters have to zap them to free, Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
You show a demon dog, you use a demon dog.
It almost feels like that, this movie had stopped production, but they decided that they needed like an extra 5-minute scene, so they just got these 2 actors back and just quickly put together some little animatronic demon and filmed the scene and stuck it in there.
Yeah, we need to fill the titty quota.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, we didn't quite, we got an R rating, so we can get a couple more boobs in there, so. Yeah, there you have it. So, yeah, definitely, and confirm with everybody that I could not wait for you to reach that part.
Oh, yeah.
Several times, I was like, as soon as the girl puts on the headphones, let me know. Because I wanted to witness your reaction. It was like, we were just waiting for it. It was like when, like 10 years ago, when everybody used to trick all their friends into watching Two Girls, One Cup. And you're just waiting for their reaction.
And that was the modern version of Goatsy, when you're just like, okay, wait for this page to load, and they're just like, what, is that like a sunrise or something? Oh my fuck, it's an asshole. Wow.
So that was good. That was my what the fuck, and I was both of our what the fuck, actually. I knew you were going to have the same thing.
Yeah, so I had to find my own, and that leads to my what the fuck. The TV kills.
Mm-hmm.
Where when Sammy makes his first manifestation, he's talking to Eddie, talking about like, oh, we had a deal, Eddie. You can't fuck with me. And then we see Pastor Ozzy on the screen, and then Sammy slaps his hand on the TV, drags his hand across it, and you see Ozzy's hand slap his own face, and then he lets out a scream as the TV goes out, leading us to wonder, like, did he just kill him through the fucking TV? And then we find out, no, the pastor had a fatal heart attack. And then we just thought, oh, so he can have, like, an effect.
Mm-hmm.
But then when Roger steals the tape from the bully's car at Eddie's bidding, his job is to destroy it, and like a good friend, he decides, I'm going to fucking listen to it and find out why he wants it gone. Which is a great way to not do that. And so Sammy is manifested again while he's making I think is like a Reese milkshake. He's got some ice cream, some milk in the blender, and he's throwing in some chocolate and peanut butter, which, I want some of that right now.
Mm-hmm. I could do with some of that.
And then he goes into the room, Roy's there, and then he sees the old lady on the TV, and he reaches in through the TV, grabs her by the throat, and pulls her out through the TV, which I would seriously have loved to see. I would have loved to see what that looked like in the studio with the lady.
Yes, I would have loved to seen it from the other end.
I mean, like, did she just disappear? Did she, it couldn't be like she died, because he's holding something. He pulled out something. Because
he pulls out, like we said earlier, he pulls out like this charcoal briquette that used to be this lady. And
yeah, so it's like, what happened to her limbs? So, why isn't she a skeleton?
What did the people in the studio see? Did you just see like a disembodied arm all of a sudden stick out through the air and pull her through some like little porthole thing or something? What happened there?
Or did they see a hand suck her through the camera?
Yeah.
Leading everybody to try to kill the cameraman, accusing him of witchcraft. He's like, I got no fucking idea. I mean, like, I never did that before.
Yeah, it was, totally worthy of a what the fuck, because there's nothing else to say when you see this.
We need answers.
Yep.
What did the people in the studio see? Did they see like a demonic hand, or did they see the lady get spaghettified through the camera and wonder where she went?
And leaves poor Roger to clean up the mess afterwards. In the
terribly
in the vacuum scene you mentioned earlier, because the guy's an idiot. But yeah, it was a good scene. Like, don't get me wrong, I thought it was a good kill, but yeah, totally what the fuck. Like, that, I did not expect that.
Yep. And then as a mini what the fuck, at the concert, when people are running around trying to get the hell out, he's like shooting his guitar off the floor, like just shooting random bursts into the air for, again, no reason, because he's a poorly defined villain. And then somehow he just crackles into lightning above the basketball net like Electric Nightcrawler.
Yeah, so yeah, that's definitely a what the fuck moment. The only other what the fuck I could think of, which was actually kind of a what the fuck and a like, was Humpty Dumpty exploding on the wall. Because somebody had a costume where you're just like this big Humpty Dumpty, and you, as soon as you see it, you know it's not a person in a costume. It's some like a little animatronic thing they have built. Because The legs are just kicking back and forth slowly while it's up there. But when he shoots it with his, like, guitar lightning, for lack of a better description, it just, everyone else disintegrates, but this thing just explodes, like pieces everywhere.
It's like someone hit a piñata with a rocket launcher.
Exactly, just like it.
No amount of king's horses or men are going to put that fucker together again.
Because I'm just thinking, first of all, as soon as I see this Humpty Dumpty thing, I was like, that is what you decided to wear to a high school dance as your costume? Like, that's got to be as cumbersome as fuck.
And you decided I'm going to sit on the stairs for thematic effect.
Yeah. So,
it better be padded, because you know gravity is going to be working against you in that thing.
So, yeah, so that was good what the fucks. Like, this movie was certainly worthy of some what the fucks. But, you know what the main thing about this movie, like, one of the big things about this is, like I said, this movie brought back so many memories of the whole 1980s Satanic Panic, where people were just losing their minds because they believed that there was satanic messages in everything, and it was going to corrupt all the kids, and everyone's going to become a serial killer. It was just such a weird time.
People in, like, did you see that special about, like, the daycare that got shut down because kids said that they saw their teacher floating around?
Yeah, I heard about that. People are just idiots, man.
Oh, they absolutely are. And you think that it would have been over, like, you know, with the internet, that knowledge has spread, that we'd be a little bit more enlightened. But no, this shit still goes on today. It's like the internet has only made ignorance more prevalent and accessible.
It just adds another medium to everybody, right? So all the crackpots out there have a new medium to spread their ridiculousness with as well.
I know, back then you had the filter of, like, well, you had to be like a wealthy crackpot to afford more than basic cable access.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, and speaking of, I found a video of, like, even people today talking about, like, more moral failures and panics. Like, they just haven't learned their lesson. I usually would just, like, leave a link in the show notes, but it got pulled off YouTube.
Did it get pulled off by a disembodied hand?
Most likely. So I'll just leave the continuation of moral degradation in our society as our submission for It Came from the Cutting Room Floor.
Hello, I'm Pastor Jim the Coach Dinkle, head of the Organized Response Group Against Satan's Minions, and with me here is my friend the Reverend Phineas Badtouch of the Pastors Embodying Divine Ordination.
It's actually pronounced Batouche.
Oh, watch it now, that sounds a little foreign.
Okay, our organizations have come together to tackle a problem that has been corrupting youth since the very beginning of sound recording.
Of course, we are talking about Satan putting hidden messages in our popular media.
This has been a problem for America's youth since the creation of so-called rock and roll. Now, if you play that line backwards, you get this.
Mixed-race couples make Satan smile.
Mixed-race couples make Satan smile.
Now that is disturbing. The trend continued throughout the 70s.
Through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain.
Now, backwards.
Bestiality is the bestiality.
80s metal music was weird and confusing and ripe with satanic passages.
Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you.
Now, this already sounds like some kind of devil talk, but when you play it backwards, it gets even worse.
Kill your neighbors' pets and wear them in public.
These days, the devil's words have made their way even into children's shows.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob SquarePants!
Absorbent and yellow and porous is he.
SpongeBob SquarePants!
And now this vile hidden message. This show was more enjoyable with marijuana.
My, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm. And with the popularity of these so-called podcasts, well, things have really gotten bad.
Yes, listen to this show about horror movies of all things.
Mike, one thing I really loved about this movie was the use of practical effects.
Yeah, and they did a fantastic job considering their budget restrictions.
Now listen to the vile message these two servants of Satan have snuck into this recording.
Condoms mean you can have sex with whoever you want.
It's okay to poop in bus shelters. The separation of church and state is one of the most important laws we have.
Donate through patreon.com/graveyard.
Disgusting.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Pastor Jim, why do all those voices kind of sound like you and your little weird friend over there? Well, that's just another trick of the devil. He's tricky. Yeah, that explains it.
So remember, there's only one way to be sure of what your children listen to is free of Satan's messages, and that is to think like us. Backwards. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go make a donation to those horror fellows on the Patreon.
Now, why would you go do a thing like that?
Well, I do like pooping in bus shelters.
Yeah, it is good. Okay, wow. Yeah, I'm really glad this got pulled off YouTube because that was weird.
Oh, especially at the end. I mean, I can't help but feel a little personally slighted.
Yeah, that, I know they didn't mention any names, but that all sounded oddly familiar there at the end.
Yeah, usually I disagree with you when you talk about voices sounding familiar, but two of those voices at the end really sounded familiar.
Yeah, that, made me a little creeped out, actually.
Yeah, I was just about to, if they weren't pulled off already, I was about to see, what could I do to YouTube about copyright strikes, because...
Mm-hmm. I think it's time for us to go back and review some of our old episodes. Okay, well, Mike, you had some choices in this one, some pretty good ones, so I'm going to be very curious about what you're going to go with, but I think you got a little segment left for us before we go.
Ah, yes, my kill of the week.
All right, man, lay it on me.
Oh, we had so many. I honestly thought that I would have better selection, though, because a lot of people just get vaporized with a lightning bolt. The cop, he gets reverse tased, which is funny. Mm-hmm. But, there are deaths that I thought would have had a bit more prominence to them, like Nuke, the character of Gene Simmons, the DJ at the radio station.
Right.
He's the one that plays the record that allows this guy to travel all throughout the town. You think that he would have had some influence on him, he would have, deputized him. We would have seen this happen at the station. He just comes out, or, he's just so strong because of the antenna that he possesses him, makes him like a deadite or something.
Yeah.
That he would be this knight in Satan's service. But no.
Ooh, good callback.
Yeah, but we just have no fucking idea where he went.
No, he just disappears. They go to the radio station, he's not there.
Yeah, we see a security guard got vaporized.
Yeah.
But when they look into the DJ's office, they see some shit floating around, but no sign of him, not even boots or a hat. Look what the fuck happened to Nuke. You think with a name like Nuke, he would have some prominent zombification going on, but no. So they disappointed me on that end. And then the end with Sammy. How did they fucking kill him? They made him manifest in the back of a police car and then dropped the car into the drink?
Yep.
That is a weak-ass death for a demon.
Yeah, basically he got wet, so he died.
Yeah, and the worst part is that, he doesn't have like any confrontational dialogue with the kid. The kid's taunting him, but when he comes back, he's like, "Wah, blah, 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 blah," like he's Taz.
Yeah.
He's the Tasmanian devil. He doesn't have anything like, "We had a deal," or like, I could still get you, Leslie. No, he doesn't establish a relationship with this kid, which I felt was like terrible writing. So my kill of the week, just by default for awesomeness, has to go to the spaghetti fried lady who was yanked through a TV. And usually when people get killed with a TV, they go into the TV. She came out of the TV,
Yep.
and that's how she died.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that was my favorite kill of the movie. Because, for one thing, it came out of nowhere. Like, there was no, leading up to it. It just... At the very least, if anybody saw it coming, they just thought that she was going to die the same way Ozzy did. He just, brushed his hand against the screen, and, they'd have a heart attack or an aneurysm, whatever happened.
Or he would punch the TV, and then it would, as he pulls his fist out of the TV, you would just see her shoulders full of blood drop down with no head.
Yeah, something. But, I mean, that just came out of nowhere, and it was such an awesome kill. So, bravo, Mike. I think in my opinion, you definitely picked the right one.
I just wonder if you watched the Ring with that TV, as soon as Samara tries to come out to the TV to kill you, she just instantly vaporizes herself. That would have been like, wow, crisis averted.
Oh my god. Yeah. All right, good call. Well, that is all the movie coverage we have for this week, but we're not done quite yet because we want to hear from you. If you have a movie suggestion for us, you have questions, comments, criticism, whatever it is the case, you got a few options getting in contact with us. You can first of all reach us by email at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can get us on Twitter, which a lot of you have been doing. Thank you so much, guys. The followers on Twitter has been going up every day, and we're very grateful for that. But you can get us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. And, of course, you can get us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. If you're able to make a monetary donation to the show, we will certainly take some money off your hands. You can do that at www.patreon.com/graveyard. As little as $1 a month gives you access to our Patreon exclusive content. We put once a month we put a new show on our Patreon just for our Patreon followers, and just a little something extra for you. And all money goes to the promotion and upkeep of the show, and it's much appreciated. But of course, we understand not everybody has the money to give us money. It doesn't matter. You can still help us out a ton by going on iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. Honestly, in the long run, that does the most to help out the show. So please go ahead and do that. And I'm not sure if you can rate, review, subscribe on Google Play and Stitcher, but we are available there. If that's the way you listen to your podcast, then you can certainly get all the episodes of The Graveyard Shift you want right there. And if none of those options are available to you, then just keep doing what you're doing. Whichever way you find our show, keep listening, share us on social media, just tell everybody about us by word of mouth if you think you know someone that might be interested in listening. And that's all you need to do. And by the way, our weekly downloads are increasing. I think, Mike, there's a few people doing that. So thank you very much, guys.
Sweet.
And Mike, if people wanted to hear more from you, how would they go about doing that?
You can hear me talk with some Americans, so, there's a bit of a quality drop there.
America!
But, yeah, we talk about Nintendo Power Magazine, the seminal gaming magazine of the 80s and 90s. Before the internet came along and killed it, that's how we were able to take these games and make them beatable. And so we read each issue front to back, and we talk about what's inside, and then we talk about terrible, gross, disturbing, terrifying, awful things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually the better part.
Yep. If you wanted to hear someone talk about old school video games in the dirtiest way possible, or if you had a subscription to Nintendo Power back in the day, then this is the show for you.
If you ever wondered, like, what would Reddit sound like if it had a podcast? And it was vaguely tied together with old 90s gaming magazines, that is where you would find it. The Playing with Power podcast on playingwithpowerpodcast.com. And you can check us out there, rate, review, subscribe, let us know what you think, or how horrified you are that we are not a wholesome show. Well, we were, but then we got another co-host, and then all hopes of that
And then
faded.
the whole thing came apart.
Absolutely.
And for our American listeners, we were kidding. We love you guys. Don't stop listening. Yeah, guys, that is it for us, but we are going to be back next week with part 3 of our Halloween that's not Halloween. Mike, can you believe it? We're already halfway done of Halloween. Well, sort of, because we do have a couple of other things besides. We've got 2 more regular episodes coming up, but we do have a Patreon bonus episode coming up for you Patreon guys. Where we actually are going to be talking about Halloween 1 and 2, and we mean the Michael Myers movies, where we're going to give a rundown of both those movies, because we pretty much consider them the same story. They take place back to back, during the same night, so I always I never like to watch just one of them. I always have to watch both of them together.
Yep, so
And
at patreon.com/graveyard, you can partake and enjoy the Halloween that is Halloween.
That's right. And for all of our regular listeners, that's going to be all of you guys that just support us by listening to us each week, and our Patreon listeners, we're going to be doing a bonus episode where we're basically not going to be talking about a specific movie. A couple of friends are going to join us, and we're just going to be talking about the things that make Halloween for us. We're going to talk about our favorite Halloween movies, our favorite Halloween TV shows and specials, and just the stuff that our Halloween traditions, basically, what Halloween means to us. So it's going to be fun. It's just going to be a conversation with some friends, but I think everyone's going to like it. So be on the lookout for that one. But with all that being said, we're going to be back next week with part 3 of our Halloween that's not Halloween, I should say. I'm so tired. But until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
Please join us again on the Graveyard Shift. Can I go to bed now?